Eulimenus spying and confronted her with a lethal aura, the Funli that Eulimenus knew. But now, Funli seemed completely different, making Eulimenus wonder what had happened to her. Even Banaza, faced with two members of the demon race, shows no fear and warmly invites Eulimenus to have some cooling tea. While enjoying tea, Eulimenus secretly uses her appraisal skill on Banaza, but to her surprise, she can't gather any information about him. This is an unprecedented event, even the Demon King has never experienced such a thing. The more she thinks about it, the more baffled Eulimenus becomes. She inadvertently mentions the demon army in the forest. Banaza, without hesitation, admits that he was the one who cleansed the forest, a confession that makes Eulimenus choke on her tea. She quickly advises Funli to stay as far away from Banaza as possible, revealing that Banaza killed Funli's brother, who was stationed in the forest with the demon army. Funli, however, doesn't seem too concerned. In her wolf tribe's culture, pride is paramount. The fact that her brother, one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Demon King, was killed by a human, only means he was incompetent. Banaza is shocked by this revelation, expecting Funli to be furious with him. Fortunately, her reaction is completely opposite to what he anticipated. Seeing the situation, Eulimenus challenges Banaza to a fight, curious about his capabilities, especially his use of high-level holy magic. Banaza agrees to the duel. They step outside, and the rules are simple: whoever surrenders first, loses. As the battle begins, Eulimenus throws 2 poison fangs intending to control both Funli and Banaza simultaneously. Of course, her plan fails. Banaza effortlessly neutralizes her attack with a wave of his hand, warning Eulimenus that the real opponent is him, not Funli, and he won't forgive anyone targeting his wife. Eulimenus is forced to acknowledge her defeat. A few days later, seeking revenge, Eulimenus returns with an army of dragons. Instead of being alarmed, Banaza is excited, having never seen a dragon before. With just a single blow, he defeats one of the dragons. Terrified, Eulimenus flees with her tail between her legs. Blossom, intrigued by the event, tries her hand in battle too. With a swing of her hoe, she quickly downs another dragon, leaving her utterly astonished at her own feat. The entire incident is closely monitored by the Demon King. Realizing that neither the 4 heavenly kings or the dragon army could challenge Banaza, he decides to abandon force and instead opts for a conversation with Banaza. Blossom excitedly shows off her new title as the Dragon Slayer to everyone, along with the legendary hoe that took down a dragon, causing envy among the group. Barirosa, feeling a bit jealous and using training as an excuse, quickly leaves. The title of Dragon Slayer is something every adventurer dreams of, as it could fully restore her family's honor. Regrettably, she was a step too late. The dragons had already fled from Banaza's range. At that moment, Barirosa notices someone lurking around their house. Without hesitation, she confronts the stranger, who turns out to be an acquaintance of Lady Funli. Realizing he must be a demon, she confronts him, and he admits his identity but reveals he's there to discuss a matter with Banaza. Since Banaza is not home, he decides to leave, asking Barirosa to pass on his message. As he departs, Banaza and Funli hurriedly arrive. Funli is exasperated, wondering why someone would use such a fake name. Banaza is immediately concerned for Barirosa's safety, especially since his system alert had warned him that the man confronting her was the Demon King. The Demon King, Gaul, returns to his castle after meeting Barirosa. He seems concerned that the demon army might return at any moment, prompting Banaza to set up a powerful barrier around his house, strong enough to prevent even the Demon King from entering. While unable to penetrate the barrier, Gaul's interest is piqued by Barirosa, a mere human who dared to point her sword at him, finding her protective instinct quite intriguing. The next day, the Demon King visits again. Banaza warmly invites him inside to talk. Gaul first apologizes for the inconvenience caused by Eulimenus and then invites Banaza to join his demon army. Naturally, Banaza declines, and Gaul, respecting his decision, doesn't press the matter. Following this, Gaul begins to narrate to everyone the history of the war between the demons and humans, which started 500 years ago, initiated by the founder of the Demon Kings. The prolonged conflict only deepened the animosity between the two races. However, after 12 generations of Demon Kings, their perspective gradually changed. Gul, as the current Demon King, vows not to pursue domination over humanity anymore. Still, he expresses his hope for Banaza to join the demon army. Gul exudes a bit of killing intent to intimidate Banaza, but Banaza calmly refuses, eliciting laughter from Gul, who acknowledges Banaza's strength. The conversation ends, and Gul takes his leave, still intrigued by Bari Rosa, who managed to face his pressure without faltering, not realizing she had actually fainted long ago. A few weeks later, Gul regularly visits Banaza's house, partly to see Bari Rosa. On one such visit, he witnesses an interesting scene. The reigning hero has brought an army to threaten Banaza into serving under him. This is because news of Banaza continuously hosting demon folk had reached the king, causing him alarm. He wanted to bring Banaza back to the capital, despite the Grand Princess's objections. The hero, siding with the king, is the reason for his presence. He accuses everyone there of colluding with the demons and offers to absolve them if they agree to serve under him. Bari Rosa, infuriated by this unworthy behavior of a hero, openly rebukes him. When the hero attacks in rage, Banaza intervenes, refusing to let anyone harm his family and without any intention of confronting the hero. He decides to move everyone away from the place. Bari Rosa wholeheartedly agrees with his decision. Initially trained to fight against demons, her time with Banaza and his wife has changed her thinking. The peak of this change is realizing that as a citizen of a kingdom, being threatened by one's own kind is a violation of a knight's dignity. Bari Rosa decides she will no longer serve anyone. Right after this decision, Banaza uses a teleportation spell, vanishing with everyone and everything, including the house and Blossom's field, right before the eyes of the hero's army. At that moment, Demon King Gul appears, having come to meet Bari Rosa. Seeing the hero causing trouble for her, Gul realizes there's no longer a reason for peace and loudly calls his subordinates to attack humanity. The declaration of war by Gul echoes to the capital, causing the king to fear. His advisors urge him to use high-level purification magic immediately, as they cannot withstand the demon army's vast numbers. With no other choice, the king performs the spell. The demon scouts, having caught wind of this, quickly report back to Gul, who then orders a retreat. Not wanting his people to suffer any harm and having achieved his objective, Gul decides it's timely to withdraw. The purification magic is executed, and as the demon army retreats, the high priest assures the princess that there's no longer any danger. The grand princess is frustrated by this outcome. The execution of high-level purification required the collective effort of all the kingdom's mages, leaving them all in a comatose state for 2 months to recover, including the king. As a result, the grand princess assumes control in the king's absence. Her first act is to strip the hero of his title and deny any plans of summoning another hero. As the news spreads, the disgraced hero sneaks into the kingdom's treasury, desperately searching for something to help him fight the demon king. He refuses to live as an ordinary person, preferring death. Suddenly, a voice responds to his plea for power, revealing a secret door. The voice instructs the hero to draw a sword from its seal, promising that the demon within will help him fulfill his wish. Without hesitation, he draws the sword, and a cold wind hits him. The demon sealed within the sword, Haya, the demon of light and shadow, reveals itself, thanking the hero for its release and offering to grant him 3 wishes. Meanwhile, the Grand Princess has summoned the Great Seer to the castle to prepare for the upcoming troubles. Suddenly, a black ring appears around everyone's neck, startling the Grand Princess. She urgently sends guards to check the treasury, realizing this is the head-chopping collar from the demon sealed in the treasury. This collar will sacrifice half the population of the capital in exchange for granting 3 wishes to the person who unsealed the demon. In the past, the Grand Princess's grandfather had tried to stop the demon Haya, succeeding at the cost of half the capital's population's lives, sacrificed with the demon. They must act quickly to prevent Haya from fulfilling the 3 wishes. The great seer immediately sets about their main task to save humanity by finding the true hero, believed to be in the western city. Everyone is eager to go, but the Grand Princess insists on finding him herself. Meanwhile, in the western city, Banaza is negotiating with a shop owner, selling him dragon scales and meat in exchange for information about other resources. Barirosa is amazed by Banaza's business acumen, and Funli is proud of her husband, a former merchant. Barirosa, envious of Funli's good fortune in having such a husband, is quickly cautioned by Funli to stay away from Banaza. Funli introduces Barirosa to the demon king Gul, knowing his interest in her, as he always asks about her first. Just as Banaza completes his deal and shares the news with Funli, a system alert warns him of a demon approaching, Haya, coming to fulfill the hero's wish to kill Banaza. Sensing the lethal intent, Banaza prepares to counterattack, but Funli jumps in to take the hit for him, falling after the attack. Haya keeps assaulting Banaza, but his magic seems ineffective against him, surprising the demon. Haya tries using light magic next, but Banaza is unfazed and uses healing magic on Funli, although her injuries are too severe to heal completely. A powerful strike from Haya hits Banaza's back but doesn't even scratch him, leaving Haya sweating in disbelief at the resilience of a human able to withstand the force of primitive magic. Banaza, once a weak individual, was raised by merchant relatives after his parents' passing. Living among them, he learned much, especially about the social injustices faced by beast people, oppressed by others. Despite his desire to help and eliminate such discrimination, he was powerless and had to reluctantly accept the significance of slavery to some extent. This changed when he was transported to this world and met Funli, who was willing to entrust her life to him after losing a duel. This ignited a deep desire within Banaza to not abandon her. He chose to become her husband, ensuring Funli a life of equality without dependence on him. To atone for inadvertently killing her kin, Banaza vowed to protect her at all costs. Now, seeing Funli injured and motionless, despite his continuous healing magic, Banaza feels helpless. At this moment, Haya uses time magic and teleports in front of Banaza for a closer look. Even her time magic fails to scratch Banaza, leaving her wondering how to kill him. As she ponders, Banaza punches her in the face. Enraged, Banaza pins her to the ground and starts beating her relentlessly. Haya is unable to use any defensive magic, as Banaza interrupts her attempts with more punches. Banaza, furious for Haya hurting his wife, prepares to face the consequences of his actions. He continues to punch and kick Haya, leaving her breathless. Meanwhile, thanks to the time magic, Funli's injuries heal. Seeing Banaza enraged on her behalf initially makes her happy, but her joy turns to distress as she realizes this is not the calm and merciful husband she knows. He, who once refused to kill those targeting him, is now a different person because Haya dared to hurt her. Funli, crying, runs to embrace Banaza, telling him she's alright and he doesn't need to attack Haya anymore. Her tears fall as she's happy for Banaza's concern but pained to see him abandon his kindness. Banaza, unable to see his wife cry any longer, finally releases Haya and comforts Funli, relieved that she is unharmed. Meanwhile, the Grand Princess had just been teleported to the western forest by a group of wizards. Despite their exhaustion from using purification magic, they persisted to bring her here for the safety of the kingdom. At that moment, the beheading necklace around the Grand Princess's neck disappeared, proving that the demon had failed to fulfill its wish. This was incredibly illogical, as even the previous demon king had been defeated by this demon. Meanwhile, at the royal castle, the hero, hidden skillfully in the treasury with his maid, awaited the demon Hya's return to make another wish. His desire was to use her to fulfill 3 wishes, to annihilate all who dared to stand in his way, to establish a new kingdom with himself as the king. But what to do now, with soldiers ready outside, and him risking immediate capture if he showed himself? Just then, a voice echoed in the hero's head, choosing to inhabit the maid's body. The sword not only sealed the demon Hya but also the dark sorcerer Damara. In gratitude for his liberation, Damara used high-level magic to transform him into a gigantic monster, both to enable him to personally kill those he hated and for Damara to exact revenge on those who dared to seal her. They destroyed the castle and headed straight for the eastern town. As for Banaza, the demon Hlaya, having just awoken, begged for mercy. Realizing he was unharmed, Hlaya understood that it was Banaza who had healed him. Banaza, no longer concerned about Hlaya injuring his wife, still recognized the danger of a demon offering 3 wishes in exchange for countless lives. He couldn't allow her to return to the royal treasury. Just then, Funli rushed in, suggesting that Hlaya become a housekeeper for their family. Funli was annoyed about Hlaya injuring him, but as a member of the proud werewolf clan, he had to admit that Hlaya was stronger. Regarding Banaza's concerns, indeed, they couldn't let her return to the royal treasury. Keeping her close meant if she caused any terror, Banaza could deal with her immediately. If this is indeed what your wife desires, then I shall concur, Banaza declared, advancing towards Haya with 2 distinct options: 1, to grasp his hand and embark on a new journey of life alongside his family, or 2, to revert back to her sealed state. At this juncture, Haya found herself overwhelmed with surprise. She pondered over the remarkable nature of a human being capable of abandoning both ambition and spite. Intrigued by this revelation, she opted to embrace a fresh existence with Banaza's household, assuming the role of the family's housekeeper. With a solemn oath, Haya vowed to meticulously handle any threats aimed at her new family. Utilizing her formidable magic, Haya summoned forth all the soldiers who had been clandestinely monitoring them. Concurrently, the shadowy sorceress Damari made her entrance. Haya was no stranger to Damari, as they had previously shared the confines of a mutual prison. The intricate details of Damari's background would have to be deferred, as Banaza promptly commanded an evacuation to safeguard the populace. Damari's agenda was focused on targeting the Grand Princess, whom she had already successfully apprehended. The princess, having brought along only a singular knight, stood little chance against the overwhelming might of the dark sorceress Damari. As the Grand Princess was on the verge of invoking a powerful spell, Haya intervened, halting her in her tracks. Haya's indifference to Damari's schemes was palpable, but she made it unequivocally clear that any transgression against her master would result in Damari's demise. Damari, scoffing at the notion of a supreme demon being corrupted by human influence, deemed herself above engaging in discourse with Haya. Unleashing her magical prowess, Damari assailed Haya, who, with a mere subtle gesture of her finger, effortlessly deflected the attack. This act elicited a state of sheer astonishment in Damari. Meanwhile, Haya, with a dismissive sneer, showcased her immunity to worldly spells. When Damari resorted to physical aggression, manipulating the hero to strike at Haya while imbuing him with enhanced magical capabilities, it proved futile against Haya's imperviousness. The incident escalated as Damari, in a refusal to accept her defeat, summoned a colossal demon straight from the infernal depths. However, before the creature could even commence its assault, it was instantaneously annihilated, an act executed by Banaza. This sudden turn of events sent shockwaves through Haya, causing her to react with fear and promptly kneel, profusely apologizing for compelling Banaza to engage in such direct confrontation. Agitated by the scenario and the affront to her dignity in the presence of her master, Haya unleashed a potent barrage of magic directly at Damari. In a climactic move, Haya extracted Damari's soul from the maid's body and, as a final act, bestowed upon her the curse of eternal life by consuming her essence. After resolving the situation, Banaza noticed that the town had suffered significant damage. He was about to use time reversal magic to restore everything when Haya intervened. She had witnessed Banaza's battle and learned about his unique ability. Banaza's skill wasn't just any magic, but rather a rapid copying ability. When Haya used time magic, Banaza instantly learned it. This meant that Banaza could replicate the magic of other races, as long as he witnessed it or was hit by it. Such boundless power was terrifying, he could entirely restore the town. However, Haya advised against it, warning that reversing time would violate the world's rules and might attract the attention of divine entities. Fearful of these holy beings, Banaza heeded Haya's advice. At that moment, the Grand Princess appeared, apologizing to Banaza and inviting him to the royal palace. Partly to make amends, but also to seek his help in